would suspect that we still have plenty of room to make money in commodities, especially agricultural commodities. As I said before, silver, I own silver, is down 60% from its all-time high. Look out the window. What do we know that's down 60% from its all-time high? Very little. Sugar is down 70% from its all-time high. So in my view, and all of this money printing historically has led to higher prices for real goods. So in my view, we have a long way to go. The all-time high on silver is $50 an ounce. Now it's 23. So why can't silver go back to its all-time high? That's the way markets usually work. Eventually things go back to where they were once upon a time. So I would suspect that we still have plenty of room to make money in commodities, especially agricultural commodities, going forward. Who knows? I don't know, but if you want to protect yourself, that's one way. I am protecting myself. I hope I'm getting it right. Agriculture is cheap, and many commodities are still cheap. Now, copper is making all-time highs. That's because it looks as though the world is going to become electrical cars, trucks, and everything else. Well, it turns out that an electric car uses several times as much copper as a combustion engineering car. So there's going to be huge demand for some of these metals that we didn't have before. And yes, it's at all-time highs now, but electric cars are just getting started. A lot of things are just getting started. Silver is already down 60% from its all-time high. Now it's up a lot in the last year, as you point out. Commodities have started moving, and in bear markets, for a while anyway, everything goes down, no matter how wonderful it is. That doesn't mean you should rush out and buy silver today, because it could get killed too in a bear market for a while. But I would suspect that you ask how to protect yourself. I would suggest that real assets, partly because they are still the only cheap asset, is a better place to be. If you know a company that's going to find silver in Berlin, you should buy all you can. And then please call me, because I want to buy it. Because obviously the companies give you great leverage. That's another great way to make money in a bull market. But you remember Mark Twain? Mark Twain once said, listen, a gold mine is a hole in the ground with a liar standing at the top.
Yeah.
He obviously lost a lot of money in the gold mine. My point is, there are hundreds of silver mines. If you know the right one, of course, you'll make huge amounts of money. But otherwise, physicals are a good way to play too. Futures, companies, if you know what you're doing, but there are many ways to play. But please don't do it if you don't know what you're doing. The best advice is don't listen to me, stay with what you know. Everybody watching this knows a lot about something, whatever it is, cars, fashion, something. Stay with what you know, and then if something goes wrong, you know what to do. But if you listen to me and something goes wrong, you don't know what to do. Well, don't send me an email. I'm not going to answer. Tell you what to do when I make a mistake. If I told you you can only have 20 investments in your life, people would be very careful. They would invest in what they know, and they would be successful. So my answer is stay with what you know. And if you don't know anything, put your money in the bank and wait until you find something that you know a lot about. The problem with putting your money in the bank is which currency. A lot of people put their money in Icelandic krona in 2007, paying high interest, but then Iceland went bankrupt, and so they got wiped out. So it's not easy. I wish it were easy getting rich. Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful? It's not easy.
I did get a number of questions from folks about your opinion of several different commodities. Oil.
Yep, I own oil. I'm even contemplating buying more right now. When you say oil, I presume you mean hydrocarbons, oil, natural gas,
yes,
things.
Yes.
Yeah. I own it, and I plan to buy more. Oil is down over 50% from its all-time high, and known reserves continue to decline. They've been declining for a long time. Then along came fracking. Well, we had a wonderful bubble in fracking. If you could spell fracking, people would write you a check. Say, please invest. Well, then we all found out, oh, wait a minute, they got to pay their bills. They got to make money. So fracking is not going to disappear, but the bubble is over. And in the meantime, known reserves of energy everywhere in the world are in decline and have been continuing to decline. So yes, we're all going to have electric cars someday, apparently. Yes, we're all going to have solar panels. If we have electric cars, I've got some silver. I've got solar panels, I've got some silver. There are other ways to protect yourself. I do own that hydrocarbon, oil and gas. Actually, I own coal too. I own oil, natural gas, and coal. I own uranium. Yeah, I own uranium stock. I don't have physical uranium in the club.
I hope not.
I have physical silver, but I don't have any physical uranium. Well, uranium has been a disaster for a long time, and one of the things I've learned in my disasters, we've been talking about energy, known reserves declining. People are going to have electricity one way or the other, and I own uranium.
Okay.
Uranium, I mean, the price of uranium has been a gigantic disaster in the last few years, and you probably know. Nobody's opening uranium mines. I mean, mines are closing, mines are being depleted. It's simple supply and demand. I mean, the Chinese have a lot of nuclear power and are building more. The French, I mean, many European countries still have nuclear power. Nuclear power is cheaper and more efficient and better if you do it right.
Right.
If you make a mistake, you got 3 Mile Island on your hand, and that's not a lot of fun. And you got Chernobyl on your hand. But no, nuclear power is great if you do it right. If you do it right. And there haven't been that many nuclear power accidents in the past 50 years. There have been some, but no, that's why I own it.
Next commodity, Jim, is farmland. You mentioned a number of agricultural commodities.
No, I certainly am. I'm not going to become a farmer, but if you like going out in the sun and being in the dirt, it'd be a fabulous way to make a living and get rich, because, the average age of farmers in America is now 58. In Japan, it's 66. I can go on, and the highest rate of suicide in the UK is in agriculture. Many Indian farmers have committed suicide. Most people in America study public relations and study agriculture. We're running out, there's less and less competition. Unless we're going to stop wearing clothes and eating food, agriculture is going to get better. And I would expect farmers, as I say, if you really, really love it, go out there and buy yourself a farm and you'll get very, very, very rich. If not, I own the ETF the way I do it, but there are many ways to do it. If you're going to invest, please start with ETFs, because that is a lot. Many studies have shown that the average in investing in the indexes outperforms nearly all investors. So unless you know a lot about cotton or whatever it is, please start with ETFs. Please don't do it in anything unless you yourself know what you're doing, because we're going to have a very difficult time sometime in the next 2-3 years, I don't know when it's coming. And you must be knowledgeable, and then you will get prepared, and because it's going to be very difficult. And many people will not survive. And I hope all of you who are going to get prepared, and I hope I survive too. I also want to say that please, I know we're all Americans, but please contemplate opportunities in other countries, because every one of us on this show, our forebears came from somewhere else and invested and made investments, diversified investments. As far as nations are concerned, there are a lot of great opportunities in other countries if you know what you're doing, and it might be a very, very good insurance policy as well as a way to make money. So do not preclude investing elsewhere. I mean, Canada, for instance, it's not very far away, and they have got lots of natural resources. They've done a less bad job of running their economy than Washington has. That's just to give you, I'm not suggesting you rush out and invest in Canada, but I'm just using that as a simple example that when I say invest somewhere else, I'm not saying some exotic thing like, oh, you must invest in Zimbabwe. There are many places that are reasonable and you could understand. find what you love a lot and pursue it. And if people laugh at you, really pursue it, then I know you're right, you know, and those are the people who are most successful as investors, but in whatever they do, because they're the people that are happy. They don't go to work. They wake up every day and they have fun. Even if they're not successful, they don't care. They're happy. So I'm trying to teach my girls. I'm trying to teach them, you know, that money is to be saved, not to be spent. I'm trying to teach them to understand money. But the real lesson I'm trying to teach them is figure out what you love a lot and pursue it, no matter how absurd it is. In fact, the more absurd it is, the more likely it is to be right.